Good evening, guys. Welcome to this week's Smiles US Pathway Recruitment Drive. I can still see a lot of people joining in. Let's wait for another 5 minutes for everyone to join in, and let's begin up later. In the meantime, guys, let's make this a very interactive session. All right. So let's not just have it me speaking and you guys just listening. That's kind of very boring, right? So let's make this as interactive as possible. Why don't you guys start off by telling me a little bit about yourself in the chats? Just the chats are open, right? Yeah. I think the chats are open. Start off by telling a little bit about yourselves, your name, where you guys are working, your experience, um, and and also just mention how many years of experience you guys have and why you guys want to move to the US. All right. Let's get started. I'll start off by introducing myself. I'm Franklin. I am here in Miles for the last 2 years now. And today we'll talk about the accountant shortage, what is there, what is going on in the US, what are the opportunities that are there for you. All right. So yeah, we can see a lot of chats already coming in. All right. Hi Ashish, you're from the US. What's up? What you doing there in the US? Mhm. Hi, Brijesh Kumar, you're from India. Hi, Jaiswal, you're CA IPCC plus 8 years experience. Awesome. So this is, I think this would be an amazing opportunity for you here. You since already you have relevant experience, you might be working here in the accounting field itself. So keep a eye on when I talk about the opportunities that are there in the US for you guys. All right. Akshat Sharma from Varanasi, CA final, pursuing BCom from distance learning completed. Amazing, great. That's great level of experience. That's the kind of experience that firms in the US are actually looking for, right? So amazing, great. Welcome to this week's recruitment drive. Hi, Raheel. Hi, Mishti. Also mention why you guys want to move to the US, all right? Because from where I'm sitting, I can just see two reasons. One can be you want to go there to obviously increase the salary that you are getting right now, right? So if you're let's say earning X amount right now, you would want to earn 2x or 3x or 5x, right? You want to increase your salary. That can be one of the reasons. The second reason that I can see is the culture that you want to experience in the US, right? Because US is completely different from what it's there in India. And these can be the two amazing. Mishti says she wants exposure. That's great. um yeah. Akshat, I want to do USCMA and want exposure and growth in life. Amazing, amazing. So, Akshat, why do you want to do USCMA? Because if we can see US CPA and CMA, the difference is that CPA is more of an accounting related job, and CMA, once you complete your CMA, you kind of get into management related roles, right? So, are you aware of that? Do you want to do more of management related roles, right? Others says for career growth and good opportunity and salary. Of course, amazing. So that's what even most people look for. And I'm very glad that people are open over here. You guys are talking more about money, right? Because money becomes a very hesitant thing that people are little shy to talk about. And I'm glad that you guys are opening up here. Great, guys. Let's wait, I think, for another minute and start. And for the people who are joining in right now, we are doing a small activity where we introduce ourselves, our names in the chat, our experience and things like that. And for everyone, my name's Franklin, and I am in Miles for like the last 2 years. And so yeah, guys, and in today's call, we'll be discussing about firstly the shortage of accountants that is there, why there is a shortage, because the main part we have to understand is why, right? Before we start doing anything, that is the main thing to understand the why, and then the how becomes very easy and very clear after that, right? So in this call, we'll try and understand that. Let me present my screen, and we can start off this webinar. All right. Yeah. 1 second. So you guys must have seen Miles talking about this a lot, right? There's a shortage of accountants in the US, and America wants you, and the salary is about $60,000. So everything that we have mentioned here is completely true, and I'll tell you how you can achieve it step by step, right? So that's what we'll do in this entire webinar. First question that I want to ask you is, why is there a shortage, right? Why is there an accountant shortage in the US? And the number one reason is everyone in the US has a good amount of population, right? So everyone and most of the population in the US is not doing accounting related courses. They are migrating and doing STEM and tech related courses. They want to move into courses where AI is involved, right? And the reason why people want to do that is because the techies have set it up like that, right? Even right now, if you go to someone who's just completing the 10th standard, if you ask them if you want to take accounting or any commerce related courses or science related courses, everyone's first option will be science, which is what will be preferred and given to them, and second will be commerce, and then comes arts, right? So that's the entire thing that is there in the US as well, and that is why there is a shortage of accountants in the US as well. Now, the when did it all happen, when did it all start taking place, is when the tech boom happened in the US, right? There was like a dot-com bubble that bursted out, and there was a similar kind of shortage that is there right now in the accounting industry. The same thing was there in the tech industry a couple of decades back, right? So what did the tech people do? The tech people did two things. One is outsource jobs to countries which had a lot of manpower. And second thing that they did is created a pathway for people in such countries to come and work in their own country, for example, in the US, right? And that is where all these people who you see on your screen emerge from, right? So everyone here can recognize everyone whoever we mentioned on the screen. For example, Sundar Pichai, right? Let's talk about him. He did his BTech in India, and he also did BTech from IT Kanakpur, and then he went to the US and also did another master's from Stanford University, right? And we'll talk about why he did that and the exact pathway that he used. And since the tech ecosystem had created such a pathway for them a couple of decades back, that is why these guys are so famous right now. Can you guys name 3, 4, or 5 accounting figures who are like this in the US right now? Right, so let's if you guys can, please do mention it in the chat, but at the top of my head I can't remember accountants who are as famous as these people, right? And what we are trying to do is create a pathway so that you and everyone who are on the call and all the Miles alumni who are already in the US can become such figures 10 years down the line or 20 years down the line, right? So let's talk about the numbers and how big the shortage is. And before we go into and talk about the numbers, I want to show you guys the number of new businesses that have started up in the last 5 years, right? So the number of businesses that have started up have increased actually from 2019, where it was 3.5 million new businesses, to 5.5 million new businesses that have grown in the last 5 years. But the number of CPAs have reduced, right? So in 2019, there were about 23,000 CPAs that were graduating and passing out. But in 2023, the number of CPAs have reduced drastically to about 17,000 CPAs every year. And what this results in? This results in one accountant doing the books for 50 companies, right? And this is the reason why accounting is considered very boring. It's considered a desk job. It's considered dealing with a lot of papers, a lot of memory, a lot of numbers and things like that, right? And there are a lot of negative side effects to this as well, right? Everyone's on the news, right? Everyone knows what's going on in the big companies that are there right now. Everyone understands the problem. Everyone's on LinkedIn, right? So you know the kind of pressure that accountants are under, and this is not a good thing. That is why we are talking so much about making accounting cool and making accounting fun and things like that, right? That's what Miles entirely stands for, right? And if let's look at a video about how much this has affected. All right.
The global economy is in crisis. There's a huge accounting shortage.
Coming in. Just let me stop and reshare my screen. All right. Let me know if you guys can hear the audio this time.
The global economy is in crisis. There's a huge accountant shortage, and America wants you.
There are 17% fewer accountants employed.
300,000 accountants and auditors leave the profession.
So let me get this straight. We're currently short on eggs, butter, and accountants.
Miles has cracked the puzzle for Indian accountants to work in the U.S. for 3 years. Become a flag bearer for Indian accounting talent as you live the great American dream.
Right. So that was a small video about the shortage of accountants that is there. Let's just talk numbers, all right, on how big the shortage of accountants in the US actually is. Right. So if you look at this, we'll come back to this slide, but first let's just look at the numbers that are there, right? So every year, USA needs about 126,000 accountants, and these job openings open up when the boomer accountants, the accountants who have been there, retire from their field, right? So when these job openings open up every year, the amount of supply that US colleges are able to provide are only 72,000, close to 73,000 if you look at the number, right? And the shortage is about 53,577, right? So this is the opportunity for you. This is what is there, and the shortage and the gap that you can fill, right? And if you guys just look at these numbers and the shortage that is there right now, so there are about just 2/3 of accountants doing the entire work, right? And what happens? Let's just talk about what happens if these 73,000 people or 73,000 accountants do not make up for the shortage, right? Let's talk about that. So if that doesn't happen, articles like these start coming up, right? Tupperware recently reported that they were not able to file their books because of the shortage that is there, right? Right now, Tupperware has filed for their bankruptcy, and maybe this can be one of the reasons, right? They're not filing their books properly, which means the companies are not valued at the right amount, right? Tupperware might not have been valued at their fair price. Now, if they are not valued at their fair price, it can also further result in them not getting actual investments coming in, right? Investments are a good source to keep your day-to-day cost, your working capital running, right? So when your working capital is not there, your day-to-day operations are not being able to process smoothly, right? So this becomes an entire cycle, right? Where there are no accountants. If the accountants do not do their work, uh, or if there are no accountants to do the work, then it directly results in the entire company going down, right? So now we are just taking a small company's example over here. Now, if you look at it in the macro, if accountants do not, let's say, tomorrow all of the accountants who are there decide to resign, right? Again, companies will not be able to file their taxes, compliances will not be followed, the stock markets will crash. So a lot of things are connected to just accountants being there. Now, the reason I'm talking so much about the shortage and the importance of accountants in the economy is because this creates an opportunity, right? So what happens when the demand for accountants is high and the short supply is very less, right? So this creates a gap. And what what do come like everyone would have learned this in basic economics in 11th and 12th, right? What happens to cover up the shortage of demands that is there? Companies will start paying higher salaries. They'll start finding different routes to bring in accountants and hire accountants and things like that, right? So such a unique pathway is what we have created for accountants in the US. All right. So let's move on to understand those paths. First, let's understand what the traditional pathway is, what an actual pathway for an accountant to go to the US would be if there was no Miles US pathway, right? So normally everyone would complete their BCom in India. They'll pursue their master's in accounting in the US, that is of 18 months, and they'll get a 1-year OPT, right? The OPT stands for optional practical training. So this is awarded to everyone who completes their education abroad. And for accounting and commerce related courses, you only get a 1-year OPT, right? And you spend a lot of money over there. If you are if you are a company, if you are a hiring manager, would you hire someone knowing that they will just stick in your company for just 1 year? Right? No, right? So that is the entire reason why this was a loss-making journey, right? If you look at the ROI on your traditional pathway, you would spend about $45,000 going to the US. Your earning potential for 1 year, let's say you are able to crack a job that Miles at $60,000, which Miles is helping our alumni crack. Let's say you are able to do the same thing. You pay off your student loan, your interest on the student loan, you minus your taxes that you'll be paying in the US, and you also account for your cost of living, right? Your approximate net loss would be around $16,000 after all of this. So what is the point of going to the US at all, right? So this is where Miles came in. We created a pathway where this becomes profitable for you. You get a positive ROI on your entire investment, right? So stick around to understand what that is. And I know you guys might be getting a lot of questions right now. So please make sure you keep dropping them in the chat. I will answer all the questions at the end. I think we also have a team who is answering all the questions right now in the chat as well. So if in case your questions are not answered, I will definitely take them up at the end of the session. So please make sure that you keep dropping in your questions as well. All right. So how did Miles crack the puzzle and make it profitable for accountants, right? Let's study that. So Miles used the same tech pathway. We use the same tech playbook. We carefully went through what the entire tech team did, and we noticed that they use something called a STEM, right? So the only reason that techies were getting the 3-year OPT instead of 1 year was because they had STEM in their courses, right? So let's understand their pathway. So they'll complete their B.Tech in India. They'll pursue the same masters in computer science or any other course that they do in STEM for about 18 months. And like I mentioned, right? So instead of 1 year, just because they have STEM in their course, they get a 3-year OPT, right? And beyond 3 years, that after 3 years, it's completely up to the employer if they want to hire them and sponsor their H-1B visa, or if they can come back to India in managerial positions, right? So now, if you understand, or if you know, again, put yourself in the shoes of a hiring manager. If you know that a person, you're hiring someone for 3 years, and later you also have an option to keep them in your company, so would you hire them or not, right? So more likely, who do you more likely hire, the person with 1 year or 3 years, right? So you lean more towards 3 years, right? Because then you'll get to understand more, like you'll get to understand the skills of that employee, the culture and things like that. right? So that's what we are more leaning towards right now. And that's what we've done, right? So what we did is we partnered with US universities and we recommended that they integrate business analytics into masters in accounting programs, right? Now, over here, everyone on this call will agree that a lot of accounting related work, the most boring part of accounting is can be done by technology, right? And we need to understand how technology is used, and that is where business analytics comes in. It is not like something that we have integrated just so that we've not just integrated a random course just to make it STEM. We've integrated a course where it will be useful for you in your future, right? And after integrating business analytics, the entire Masters in Accounting program becomes STEM certified, right? Because business analytics takes care of the T in STEM, right? And because of that, Miles alumni who go to the US will also get the same 3-year OPT that engineers get. Right. So this is how we are solving the entire crisis that is there. Firstly, we are providing a pathway for Indian accountants who wants like at the start of the webinar when I asked, right, why do you want to go to the US? You guys have two issues. One is get good salaries, and another one is for cultural exposure, right? So this solves both for Indian accountants who want to go there. Second thing is this solves the issue for universities, right? US universities have do not have accountants who can pursue their program, which means the seats are empty. They will still have to be paying all of their professors a huge amount of money when they are not getting fees from the students, right? Fees is the primary source of revenue for universities. When they do not have students sitting there, universities go under a loss. And when students are not graduating from universities, this directly also affects the public accounting firms. Now, because of the Miles US pathway, the demand is met at universities end, and it directly also results in the demand being met for public accounting firms, right? So everyone is happy here. Everyone gets what they are looking for, and that is where the Miles US pathway was born, right? So right now, let's talk about the university. So we started off in fall of 2022 with one university, and in academic year of 23-24, we had partnered with about 15 universities, and we had about 400 candidates who went to the US. And for academic year 24-25, we are expecting about 1,100 students who can go to the US with partnerships with about 30 to 35 universities, right? Again, the universities and the entire study in the US part is your how to achieve the why you want to go to the US. That is, again, I'm reminding you guys that the main goal to go to the US is work in the US, and that is how you achieve your ROI, right? And the entire study part is a how, right? And another thing that I want to talk about here is CPA, right? CPA stands for Chartered Public Accountant, and many of you all on this call might know that CPA is US equivalent to a CA in India, right? So everyone knows what a CA does in India, right? So the same thing a CPA does in the US, right? And the main reason why you have to do a CA is because you guys want to work in the US, right? If you want to work in India, CA is a great thing to do. And even in India, CPA is a great thing to do because US firms are outsourcing their business to India through the Big Four and other accounting firms, right? But if you also want to become a CPA in India, if you also want to work in the US at top accounting firms, you would have to become a CPA in the US, right? And so the eligibility for you to become a CPA in the US is that you have to do your bachelor's, that is your undergrad education in the US, through which you will get about 120 credits after your 4 years of bachelor's in the US, right? So which is equal to like doing a BCom and master's in India. So once you achieve your 120 credits, you'll have a 30 credit gap, right? So once you achieve 120 credits, you will be able to sit for this entire CPA exam and write the CPA exam, but to get a license, right? So license gives you the power to sign on audits. So the same thing in CAs, right? So once you complete your CA final, you'll have to apply for your license and get your license, right? So for CPA, to get your license, you will have to get 150 credits. And to get 150 credits is where the Masters in Accounting program comes into picture, right? So once you do your Masters in Accounting, the Masters in Accounting serves as the gap to fill in for the 30 credits. And to me, to not have an overlap between the Masters in Accounting and CPA, because it becomes too hard for students to cope up with their masters as well as CPA. What every university that we've partnered with has done is aligned their entire masters in accounting program with CPA, right? For example, if you can see here, FAR is aligned with advanced financial reporting, Reg is aligned with federal taxes and tax practice, and all of those other things. Bar is aligned with corporate relations, and audit is aligned with advanced auditing theory and practice. So when you're doing your masters, when you're studying for your masters, you will also parallelly be studying for your CPA exam, right? So there is no overlap. And second thing that a lot of you might have is the cost, right? The cost to go study in the US or study anywhere. It is not affordable for everyone, right? So what we have done is we have made sure that we partner with also Indian universities so that you can do 30% of your coursework in India itself, right? So what this means is that you'll be doing a total of 30 credits in the US for your masters, and you'll be doing 30% of that entire 30 credits in India itself. So we've partnered with JAXOM, which is a leading university in India, where you'll be doing 30% of your coursework, and these credits that you complete in India will be transferred to your US university. So it becomes like a dual degree, or it becomes like a dual education where you transfer your credits and go there, right? So how this helps you is it helps you save up in time, number one, and number two, it helps you save up in cost as well, right? So the cost of living that you will be incurring in the US for to pursue this 30 credits will be completely reduced, right? And second thing is, since we are not just sending one or two candidates, you guys saw the number of candidates that go from Miles in the previous slides, right? So since we are able to fill up the entire university's seats, universities are happy to give a 40% scholarship just for Miles candidates, right? So this up to 40% will again depend on your academics and so on and so forth, which you guys can get in touch with our team to discuss that and sort that out. But you will be getting up to 40% of your entire fees in scholarships, right? And the last thing what we've done is we also understood the pain points of students who want to go abroad, right? You have to give a GRE or a GMAT for to test IQ and all those other things, as well as you have to give an IELTS or a TOEFL to check your English eligibility and things like that, right? So what Miles has done is, whichever universities that we've partnered with, we've made sure that there is a GRE, GMAT, as well as an IELTS and TOEFL waiver, which means our candidates will not have to spend time giving all these exams, or they do not have to spend money on these exams and attempts and things like that, right? So this is how we are trying to save costs. And after all of that, this would be your cost breakup. So how you start off is, you start off by paying a 20,000 fee, which is an out-of-pocket expense to enroll for the Miles US pathway. And step two would be your 9 credits that you pursue in India. That is your 30% of the coursework that you pursue in India itself. That would cost about $6,900. And we have loan partners who can help you out with this fees, right? And step three is please note down that step 3 is very important, because over here is where you'll have your interview with the US university, and where you'll have to show proof of financial aid and support and things like that. And after all of that is done, once you're selected or shortlisted for a particular university, the university will give you guys something called as an I-20 form. Right now, this I-20 form is very crucial, because this is what you will need to apply for an F1 US F1 visa, right? And the entire visa process is also something that we assist with. We help you with mock trainings, US interview, visa interview mocks. We have an entire visa interview team that will support you with possible questions that the interviewer might ask, um, possible answers that you can give, and tips and tricks to basically get around the entire US visa interview, right? So over here, the entire cost would be around $2,000. This would be an out-of-pocket expense. And this cost, we've also accounted for your flight tickets to the US. All right. So next part is step 4, is your OPT job readiness program, right? So we have an entire US visa team, I'm sorry, a US placement team, where we have an entire team who will be training you for the jobs and your interviews in the US. And the reason that you need training over here is mainly because interviews in India are completely different from interviews in the US, right? So if a lot of you might have given interviews in India, which are more technical, right? They want an understanding if you know what you have to do, if you know the tax laws that are there in India, if you know how audits work, if you know how to read financial statements and how to analyze them, if you know certain tools, and if you know how to work around those tools, right? So this is what interviews in India are focused on. But interviews in the US are more focused on your behavior, if you will fit into their culture, and if you can work collaboratively with the team over there, and also maintain relationships with the clients and things like that, right? Now, since you'll be working at accounting firms in the US, you also get early exposure to client relations and things like that, right? So that is where our US placement team comes in, where they completely brief you about the job role. They have multiple rounds of sessions or mock interviews with you. They've worked with n number of candidates, right? We have about 1,300, more than 1,000 alumni who are right now in the US, right? So they are completely worked with all of them in the US. They've helped them get placed, right? So they kind of understand what US firms are looking for, and what how you can answer so that you can get a job mostly in your first attempt itself, right? So this entire program will cost about $5,000, and again, this will also be an out-of-pocket expense, right? And step 5 is your CPA program, right? So like I mentioned earlier, I again want to stress upon this, that if you decide to go to the US, make sure that you do your CPA, right? And the reason I'm stressing on this so much is because if you go to the US with the Miles US pathway, you have about a 70% chance of getting a job, given that you signed up for the job readiness program and things like that, right? And what the CPA program does is that it boosts your chances from 70% to about 99.9%, right? So the firms in the US, they would want to hire people who are CPAs or who are on track to become a CPA, right? And the reason that is because, again, as a CPA, you have CPA is like an umbrella degree for all the paths or all the openings that are there. You can work in accounting, you can work in audit, you can work as well as in tax, right? So CPA is like an umbrella degree for all three of these roles. And on top of that, CPAs also get the license or this authority to sign, right? So for example, let's take in India as well, right? Again, let's put yourself in shoes of a hiring manager. Would you rather hire a CA in India or someone who's done their MCOM or their MBA, right? So both of them have like a similar weightage itself, but CAs are preferred more is only because of the signing authority or the extra knowledge that they have about the entire course or the entire audits, tax, and accounting that accountants do, right? So the entire CPA program would cost about $2,300, and we have facilities for loan for this as well, right? So step 6.1 and 6.2 is something that you do not have to worry about because you do not have to worry about right now because step 6.1 is your US university fee, which will be covered under your loan, and step 6.2 will be your stay in the US, right? So, and even step 6.2, we've kept it at a very nominal cost, is because we are assuming that since you'll be traveling there with a lot of Miles alumni, you will at least be sharing the accommodation with one person, right? So that's the reason we've kept it very nominal. And based on all of that, you'll be spending about $45,000 on your entire pathway to the US. All right. Okay. So let's look at an indicative timeline for you. We had our spring 2025 cohort just close. So if you might have, if you're already enrolled for the Miles US pathway, excuse me, before October, that is in September or anytime before that, you'll come under the spring cohort. But if you're enrolling anytime after that, you'll come under the fall 2025 cohort, where if you enroll for the US pathway today, by November, you should receive your university offer letter. And by Feb of 2025, you should receive your US F1 visa, right? And in the meantime, you can also get started on your 30 credits that you'll pursue in India itself, so that you can start off from November itself as soon as you get your university offer letter. And tentatively, you should be flying to the US by August of 2025, right? And after you land in the US, you'll be doing your master's as well as your CPA. You'll be giving your CPA exams, and by May 2026, you should start working in the US, right? So this is an indicative timeline for you, and the ROI that we saw earlier, that was somewhere around $16,000, right? Which was in the minus. Now, if you do the same calculation and only spread out your loan amount instead of paying it in one shot, if you spread that out by 3 years and multiply your salary times 3, you will be saving up to $20,000 a year, which is about 17 lakhs per year in Indian rupees. And if you convert that into 3 years, you'll be coming back with a savings of 50 lakh, more than 50 lakh rupees, right? So that is where Miles came in, and we saw that there is no point in going to the US and making a loss and coming back, right? Again, you'll have to work hard to pay off your student loan, and you'll have debts all over and things like that. But with the Miles US pathway, once you complete your entire program as well, you'll be coming back with a profit of more than 50 lakhs, right? So these are some of our past cohorts. And these are some of our alumni. And I would like to show you guys a small video as well about our alumni in the US.
So today I'm graduating.
Class of 2024.
That moment was truly brilliant.
Super excitement. It's like dream come true. I am living the true American dream.
What are you most excited about?
Dollar.
To have a job in hand while I graduate, it's just magical, man.
Working as an audit associate in New York, it has been life-changing for me.
Within 2 months, I was able to get a job, which is not something that I hear of.
Coming here itself is the biggest thing, and then getting job is like I made it.
And just believe in yourself and the Miles team.
Now that I'm living this dream, I'm super excited, and thanks to Miles.
So guys, there were some of our alumni who have just graduated in spring, I think May or June, right? And they've already started working in the US, right? So how many of you all want to connect with these alumni and get all your questions answered? Right? So you guys, if one of the alumni was here, what are some of the questions that you might ask them? Right? You might ask them, how did your job interview go? How did your visa interview go? How long did it take for you to get your visa approved? Were there any hassles? Did whatever Miles tell, are they supporting it in every way that um, are they giving the support that they mentioned that or that they promised, right? So these are some of the questions that you guys might have or that you might want to ask these alumni, right? So what we've done is we've introduced something called as Connect One-on-One with Successful Miles alumni, right? So you can scan this QR code, and I think our team will also be pasting some of the links or the links to these forms on the chat. You can sign up on these forms, and what our team will do is we will have an alumni come and speak with you and answer all your questions regarding the pathway, right? So you can ask them about some of the mistakes that they've made, right? Everyone makes mistakes when they are going through an entire process, right? Someone might have chose an university in Michigan instead of in New York, right? So you can ask them why they chose that university and things like that, and what is the benefit of choosing a university in a small city versus choosing a university in a big city like New York or Chicago or San Francisco, right? So you can ask these benefits so that you do not make the same mistakes that they've done, right? So make sure that you fill up this form. And guys, we have only about 20 slots that are available for this session as of now. And the reason for that is because we have a lot of alumni who are working, right? Which means there is limited time that they are able to give over here as well, right? And that is the reason that there are very limited slots available. And if you book a slot with our alumni, please make sure that you also attend the session and do not cancel at any point, because they are taking time out of their work, out of their study and things like that, to come and have a chat with you and help you figure things out. So make sure that if you book a session that you attend, and please also make sure that you take up this opportunity and make sure that you ask questions, right? How do you get answers, or how do you get um, anything that you want by asking questions, right? So make sure you scan the form again. I'm mentioning that a lot, but I'm mentioning that only because it's important for you all, right? Okay, so our team will keep populating these forms in the chat as well. Now let's go to the next part, the most important part of the session: placements in the US, right? So when we're talking about placements, this is an entirely or completely new concept for firms in the US as well, because the traditional pathway is going people or firms in the US are also aware that accounting or the masters in accounting is not a STEM related course, which means people or coming to the US are also just have an OPT of 1 year, right? So what Miles did is we started working with firms. We started off with one or two firms and one or two societies in the US. And right now we are working with more than 350 CPA firms, as well as state societies, and talking about the entire pathway that Miles has created, right? And firms are very happy with the entire pathway. Initially, they always think it's too good to be true, because no one's ever done that, right? No one's ever had the idea of integrating STEM to make it 3 year OPT instead of one, right? So no one's thought of solving the shortage in this way, right? So initially they think too good to be true, and once they start hearing the testimonials of other firms that are there, and the opportunities that already accountants that have got in the US that are there, they also kind of tell this phrase saying that it's too good and true, right? So that's what we've started doing, and we've also conducted placement drives. So we had over 5,000 attendees in the first placement drive. We had firms come in like RSM, BDO Alliance, Crow, and Alenial, and all the Alenial partner firms like ATKG, Eisenamper, Wolf, and RBG and Weaver. So we've partnered with a lot of firms. So these are the opportunities that are there. And I also want you guys to look at another small video that will give you an understanding of what firms think of the entire Miles US pathway.
The global economy is in crisis. After 2020,
We saw people backing out of accounting.
What I never saw coming is the massive staffing shortage.
It's a crisis.
300,000 accountants and auditors leave the profession.
The talent shortage is by far the most pressing thing that as a profession we're dealing with.
There's more CPAs that are retiring than that are coming in.
We live and breathe it every day. It's hard to find experienced talent.
Miles Education approached us and said, hey, we have a solution for you, and really help U.S. employers get the help that we need.
Miles Education have really finding a solution.
This is an answer. This is doing something out of the ordinary.
Miles has cracked the puzzle for Indian accountants to work in the U.S. for 3 years. Become a flag bearer for Indian accounting talent as you live the great American dream.
All right. So I was just noticing the chat, and there are a lot of queries that you guys have. Just a five more minutes. I think we'll sort we'll complete with the entire flow of the webinar, and then we'll get to the chats, right? So please make sure that you keep dropping in all your queries. And also another thing that I want you guys to do is our team will post some links on the chat. And please make sure to follow them. So these are links of the Miles LinkedIn handle, Varun Jain's LinkedIn handle, our corporate relations SVP's LinkedIn handle. For example, you can see Chandu on the screen, right? So Chandu is SVP of corporate relations. What he does is he's on ground, he's going into conferences, he's talking over there about the Miles US pathway. He's every day signing on new firms to hire from our pool of candidates that are there in the US, right? So how this will help you is, for example, let's say you right now attend this webinar, right? You saw that Chandu has attended a session with RSM. He's attended a conference with RSM. And 2 months later, you have an interview with RSM, right? So an obvious question that will be there is, why do you want to work at RSM, and how did you even get to know about RSM, right? So your answer could just be like, I saw Chandu's post about RSM on his LinkedIn about a conference that you guys had in New York, right? So that's when I got to know about it. And from there, I also got to know about the leaders of RSM and how open you guys are, how the culture at RSM is. I also saw Lindsay's podcast with Akhila about the culture at RSM, the different locations that RSM is located at, and things like that, right? And so this again, this becomes an opener. This highlights that you guys are aware of what is going on in the industry, and it kind of breaks the ice, right? It breaks the barrier of, oh, this is someone new, I need to have a wall or a shield in front of me when I'm talking to them, right? So this is what following us can help you. And make sure you follow us on all these platforms. And right now, let's talk about, you've understood the Miles US pathway, you've gone to the US, you studied there for 1 year, you've done your CPA, you worked there for 3 years. What next, right? What after 3 years? So plan A after 3 years would be to come back to India, and Miles will help you get placed in Big Four and other accounting firms that we are partnered with in India, right? Miles, before creating the Miles US pathway, we still have a market share of 80%, which means 80% of CPAs in India are Miles alumni, right? And we dedicatedly work with Big Four and top MNCs in India, where we place all our Indian CPAs, right? So we will help you get placed in those firms over here. And option two under plan A would be, let's say you're working at RSM, right? And you decide to come back to India. RSM also has an Indian accounting branch, which means you can come back at managerial levels in India as well, in the same firm, right? For again, this is replicating the same tech pathway that was there, right? And your estimated CTC can be upwards of 20 lakh rupees in India, right? And plan B would be, let's say you are in the US, and this plan B is completely at the discretion of your US employer, and Miles has no role to play here. So if you're there in the US and if your employer decides to sponsor your H-1B visa, then amazing. But over here, I want to educate you guys that the H-1B visa is subject to an annual cap of 85,000, which means every year only 85,000 people in the US get the H-1B visa, and it is completely based on a lottery system, right? And this lottery system also has a reservation, which means it has a reservation for 65,000 regular category and 20,000 for people with advanced degrees, right? And since you will be doing a master's in the US and you'll also be pursuing your CPA, you qualify for both the 65,000 category as well as the 20,000 category. All right. So again, this sounds more lucrative, but Miles has no role to play over here, and it is completely up to the discretion of your employer, right? So I think with this, we are done, guys. Now let's take up some of the questions you guys have. There are about, I can see more than 60 questions that are here. Let's get started with that. Right. Let me stop presenting my screen, and yeah, let's make this interactive as well, right? So USCMA help in such kind of problems. Let me go to first Q&A first. Yeah, accounting is whether masters in business or in finance, what is exam structure and passing requirement? So Pragati, what are you actually asking for? Like what exam structure for CPA or exam structure for your masters in accounting? Because exam structure for your CPA is, your CPA is broken down into 4 subjects, right? That is odd, back, far, and there's an optional subject called bar that we recommend on taking, right? So with what are you exactly looking for over there? Shweta, can we simultaneously work while studying masters in accounting? So in terms of work, you can do internships that are on campus, right? So other than on campus jobs, you will not be allowed to do anything other than on campus jobs. So on campus, as in you can become a teacher's assistant, or you can work in the university as well. There are multiple internships or job opportunities available on the US university campus as well, right? But what we recommend that you do is, we recommend that you spend more time on studying there in the US, right? Study for your masters, make sure you complete 2 to 3 exams of your CPA, so that it helps you once you graduate and once you start working, right? Then over there, you wouldn't have the burden of completing your CPA to move ahead in your career and things like that, right? You were asking for the master's exam structure. So masters in accounting, again, over there would be like an entire credit system, right? So you will have, once you take up the coursework, like I showed you previously, let's go back to that slide. All right. Okay, so over here, there are different fields, right? So once you complete each subject, you will be getting something called as credits, right? So once you complete the 30 credits that are required, and if you're doing JAXOM in India, so 9 credits will already be done in India, which means you have to do 21 credits in the US, right? So once you complete 21 credits through the subjects that are available for you to choose, and exams will be completely based on the subjects and the knowledge and understanding of the subject, right? And yeah, I also want to do CPA. Who should I contact? So right now, I think our team will start posting forms on the chat as well. So over there, you can connect and our team will get in touch with you for CPA. Okay, so Prashant has asked, do I have to work in accounting firms in the US, or can it be for mortgage company as well with the 3 years OPT? So let's understand, why would some a mortgage, for example, a mortgage company would hire you when you've done a master's in accounting program, right? So if you are able to crack a job in a company outside of that, that's completely well and good. But right now there is a shortage in the accounting field, right? So jobs are available in the accounting field. So Miles will help you get placed in accounting field itself, right? And no, you cannot start a business. Then there is a completely different visa process that is there with the OPT, which again stands for optional practical training, which means you will get practical training in the related field of your masters, right? Harjeet, sir, can you share the brochure which was shown in the session? Yes, of course. We will be sharing it right after the session. You'll get a message on your WhatsApp. Keep an eye for that. All right. So, guys, do you okay, there is another question that is asked. Is CPA really important for to get a job? The answer is yes. CPA is really important to get a job. Again, like I mentioned during the session, CPA will boost your chances from 77% to 99% to get a job, right? And the only reason CPA is important is because it's a professional course and it's an umbrella degree through which you can do all 3 fields of accounting, right? And another question that is there on the chat is, um, yeah, is communication skills important? Yes, communication is very important. And you need to be able to communicate your thoughts and what you're thinking to your peers who are working at the same firm, people, your seniors, your partners, and as well as clients, right? So communication becomes a very important factor. That is what firms look for when they are hiring you. You can look at some of the podcasts that we've had with the recruiters in the US, and we also have a series called What Recruiters Want. And over there, if you look at it, recruiters just want people who can communicate better, right? Divyani has asked, what about CMA? So CMA, again, it's again a professional course and degree, but it's not related to accounting. CMA is more of management accounting, right? So a CMA would be working in a CFO's office where they are planning for future finances. They are cutting down costs. They're doing they're doing cost analysis and things like that, right? So it's completely different from doing a CPA, where CPA works on audits and taxes, filing taxes and accounting, right? Can we also get some loan facility for self-finance part of the expense? Of course. So make sure that you fill out the form here of a request callback. Please mention your issue. We have loan partners. Our team will get in touch with you and help you in the entire process. Okay, guys. I think we'll end the session here. There are a lot more questions that I want to pick up, but we do not have the time. Please, again, make sure you fill out the form, you book a session with the alumni. Make sure you ask the questions that are required that will help you. And yeah, thank you so much. Have a great evening.